All right, here we go live. Happy day after Halloween, everybody. I hope you had a fun Halloween. I'm Edward Carbazel for MMAnews.com, and this is the Sunday Submission for November 1st. Day after Halloween, a few days away from Election Day, probably the most scariest one we've had in a while. Excuse me. So we had UFC's return to Las Vegas with what looks like it's supposed to be Anderson Silva's final retirement fight. And Thursday night was Bellator 250, which crowned a new middleweight champion. So those are probably the two biggest events that we'll be talking about today. Before I go on, make sure you like and subscribe the MMA.com YouTube channel. Again, I always check for comments and stuff like that for the Sunday submissions that are always living there once I'm done streaming them. And we have a lot of interviews with fighters from current events. For example, we had Jake Hager on before his Bellator 250 fight. James Lynch spoke with him. You can see that over on the YouTube channel. And also Pedro Carvalho for his upcoming fight at Bellator 252. So again, make sure you click the like button and the little bell notification so you can get all those alerts when stuff like those interviews and this Sunday podcast goes live. So that's the shameless plug for MMAnews.com. All right, so let's get into it. I hope you guys had a fun Halloween. It was definitely I feel bad that it was Halloween was on a Saturday on daylight savings time. And normally we'd have parties and stuff like that to celebrate, and we would have gotten an extra hour to go do whatever we could have done if we weren't in the situation we were in with COVID-19 and the pandemic and all the other craziness going on. Crazy times. So you don't need horror movies and masks and stuff, I guess, to be scared this year, right? But anyway. That's one of the reasons why a lot of people find sports essential, because this is our escape from our day-to-day mundane craziness. So and lots of stuff to take in. But I don't know how your Halloween was. We're gonna get into the UFC Vegas 12, but Halloween's like Christmas for me. So I was out with my family trying to help them get ready for the potential rush of trick-or-treaters that they normally get. Like usually it's like never enough candy and stuff like that, but I went there and it was, we got trick-or-treaters, but it was definitely, I had one kid with a grabber that was doing the social distancing. I had mask, gloves on. The mask you see it's a PPE or whatever mask you want to call it, but I bought a Halloween themed one for Halloween so I could do trick-or-treating and take care of do Halloween stuff with the appropriate doing the precautions I could. So that was a mask that I got from my buddy Father Evil. So if you don't know what that was, sort of my costume plus my pumpkin I put it on my Twitter. If you follow me on Twitter, here's my Twitter handle. Follow me on Twitter. That's a AEW pumpkin-headed dipshit shirt that I wore for Halloween along with that mask to try to get in the spirit of somehow. But it was definitely the lowest number I've ever seen for reasons that are obvious. But we had the Blue Moon and stuff last night. But the place where I usually go locally for Halloween parties and stuff, it was obviously it was kind of dead. And everyone's taking everything seriously. I'm in the Northeast, so it's definitely, we were hit hardest first, and then but anyway, that's enough about Halloween. I just really like it, and I feel like it could have been, we would have had a more awesome Halloween being on a Saturday with the daylight savings stuff like that. But anyway, that's enough about that. Let's get into the news, shall we? I guess we should open up with UFC's return to Vegas with I'm going to get on a bit of a soapbox here before we get into the results. Results for both events, Bellator 250 and UFC on ESPN 39. like using the hashtags UFC Vegas 12. If you are looking for the results and you didn't miss, if you missed some of the fights, MMAnews.com has got your back there. But while we're bringing up the results, I missed most of that card. Not for nothing, I have to go back and rewatch the earlier fights. I tuned in around the Bryce Mitchell. I tuned in when Bryce Mitchell's fight started. And he managed to wrestle scramble his way to another victory, which, I mean, I'm impressed with him. But I know this morning, you know, the comments he made about, I just finished talking about masks and all that stuff, and he made some comments about, you know, his view on masks and you know, what he would prefer. I think, I mean, not for nothing, we're all frustrated, you know, but I saw somebody, Keith, shout out to Keith Schillen, who works with me over at one of the places I write, contribute to SureDog.com. He was like, I guess everyone hates Bryce Mitchell now because of the comments he made. I mean, because, you know, the timing of everything with, you know. But anyway, that's neither here nor there as far as it comes to his performance at the event in Vegas. And he picked up another win over a tough Andre Fili. I mean, I don't know what where is he from? Louisiana? I forget where he said he's from, but I don't know what's in the water or what he eats or whatever that keeps that guy going for so long. I mean, this is some crazy output from him. I mean, that's why he got the victory over somebody that's a pretty tough guy in Andre Fili, Touchy Fili. So I caught that fight, and this seems like it's out of order. Kevin Holland, because Kevin Holland was done fighting when I tuned in. I saw Bryce Mitchell, or was he done fighting? I was watching on my phone at a bar because, again, Halloween. So, but the Maurice Green versus Greg Hardy, I definitely was watching that one because I had a little money on it. But man, I mean, you know, Greg Hardy's. It's frustrating because, you know, people are like, all right, they fast tracked him into the UFC because he's an NFL guy and a known name or whatever, but he's beating dudes that like you think are going to beat him. Granted, I mean, he's got a cardio issue. I know and I'm sympathetic to Inhaler Gate because I use an inhaler as an asthmatic person. So, you know, his cardio, when he picked up the win, when I was watching it, I was like, wait a minute, what happened? Did he just lose because of how fatigued he was? And then, of course, he didn't make weight. So there's things that he's doing that are showing his green, still being green to the level that he's competing at, but he's also still picking up wins. So we're still going to, I mean, love him or hate him, you're still going to see him on main cards for a little while now. Maybe not pay-per-view stuff, but we're probably going to see him on these fight nights and those last 5 fights of the card for a little while now, especially when he picked up the win over Maurice Green, who walked in the cage confidently, and I honestly thought he was going to, you know, I thought he'd pick up the win, but it is what it is. And then, so the Anderson Silva, the main event with Anderson Silva versus Uriah Hall, I mean, that one I was zeroed in on. You know, I had no audio again because I was out trying to do something for Halloween. I mean, there was a moment there, and I tweeted it out after the event. The first 2 rounds, I mean, the first round, I think the first round, pretty sure a lot of people scored for Anderson Silva. Second round, probably, you know, the same. It was around the end of the second round that I was like, yo, I don't think maybe he doesn't need to retire. But then as the fight went on, you know, was at the close of the third round where Uriah Hall dropped him. And so the problem with, you know, the thing is he can continue to be a great martial artist. He can probably do other things with his name. And at that age, there's stuff for him to do athletically if he wants to still do something physical. You know, like grappling tournaments and stuff like that. He is a black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Maybe combat jiu-jitsu, you know, something like that. If the price is right or whatever you want to call it, but it was sad to see at the post-fight press conference how Dana White was kind of just like, I don't want to see him fight anymore, and can't help but agree with it, man. It's one of those things where you're just like, again, watching the fight, I was all for it. I was actually thinking maybe he shouldn't retire and all that stuff. Because it's sad to see. That's one of the things about combat sports that it's almost like, you talk about being present in life and stuff like that. But when you're being present, you're also, things are happening to you. And as a martial artist, as cool and therapeutic as martial arts can be mentally, whether you're a hobbyist like myself or guys that compete at the highest level, and you're present, and you're looking ahead and you see all these goals ahead of you. But then when Father Time, starts pulling your coat, cannot be ignored. And one of the things Dana White said, like, nobody at 40, he's going on 46, 45, he's 45 going on 46 or however old he is. And as somebody in that range, I can tell you, man, there's a lot of wake-up calls you get when the years get around there, especially if you're trying to do some physical output, especially at the level required to compete, with those guys at that level in the UFC. So definitely should be his last fight. A lot was being said about the wording Anderson Silva used for this is my last fight in the UFC, he kept saying. We got to remember Anderson Silva's English is his second language, so I hope he wasn't trying to hint of going to other places. Dana White said it would be disgusting for another promotion to snatch him up and try to sign him. I can't help but agree, because or a commission to approve him and stuff like that, because the Anderson Silva in his prime would have taken those shots and probably recovered better than he did, because especially at the third round, I thought the fight was going to get stopped in the third round. And then with what happened, the way the fight ended, it would have been nice to see him go out. It's weird because I was vocal about it on Twitter, and shout out to Matt Hawkins, the guy I do the Coast to Coast Combat Hour podcast with, because after we recorded we talked about Anderson Silva and some great memories that we had of him. And we're probably going to do some more of this coming Tuesday when we do our show on Tuesday nights. But after we were done and the night closed, Matt randomly sends me a text and he's like, this really should be on ESPN. I mean, you look at the legacy he's had in the UFC and in the sport. It should have been on regular ESPN. And I know there's a lot of college football out there. This YouTube channel and the outlet I'm doing this for probably got a lot of more casual fans than hardcore MMA fans. But I was kind of like, yeah, man, I'm with you, but you're not gonna, the corporate powers that be at the way sports are broadcast and stuff like that. You're not gonna trump, stick and ball sports and all the money and revenue and the eyeballs they get from gamblers and what have you. So college football, I mean, there's football all over every channel last night, especially with what's going on. I mean, people want their sports; they were missing their sports. There was concerns that these sports that are on wouldn't be returning. So, I mean, I get that, but so what I'm getting to is the whole thing with after the fight, the respect Uriah Hall and Anderson Silva showed each other. That's something like it's one of the things that makes fans like myself and longtime fans of mixed martial arts love the sport of MMA. You got people that hate on it because of, Dana White and the Trump Association and all that stuff like that. But, forget about that. You look at these athletes that choose this path in their life to compete and the respect and honor that goes with the glory of winning and the lessons learned from losing. That's what we saw with Uriah Hall and Anderson Silva at the end of that fight. I mean, Uriah Hall was super emotional, and he talked about it afterwards. But he made a really good point about someone asked him, "You think trash talk and all that stuff sells more than?" And it's obvious. I mean, he brought up a really great example of the "Catch Me Outside" girl. And that's probably the best example of how media will pay attention to something, I mean, that's what's making a lot of people stupid out there. But I mean, I already got on one soapbox about Halloween or whatever, so I'm not going to get on another one. But this is Uriah Hall talking about the girl from, I forget her, Brigoli, the Catch Me Outside girl. He was like, this girl got famous for disrespecting her mother on TV, and she got rich and famous off of it, but I've said it before, though. I mean, you can go that route and use social media to market yourself, and it's good. Young fighters want to do it. You can do it, and you can do it right, or you can, but you don't have to do it to the point that it's disgusting. But it's the day and age we live in. But at the end of the day, because it is competitive martial arts, high level martial artists or high level athletes competing against one another. At the end of the day, the best example would be Fedor Emelianenko, guys that don't say much, that compete. You rack up enough wins, the respect will come. You know what I mean? And I think that's still the case. And it looks like Uriah Hall's on that page of martial artists that are looking to just, I'll prove how good I am in the ring. I don't need to paint pictures or come up with catchphrases to sell fights. But promoters and media love that stuff, and a lot of media outlets are guilty of it, of just focusing on, the trending topics and trash talk and stuff like that, and a lot of stuff like that goes under the radar. So me and Matt Hawkins are on the same page where, yeah, man, that should have been on regular ESPN so people can see the honor and respect and the values from competing martial artists show each other, but it was on ESPN Plus, and take it or leave it with all of this a la carte. People are either going to subscribe to it or they're not. And I mean, their numbers are supposedly good, so I guess enough people saw it that hopefully it makes it passes something forward to the newer fans and newer up and coming competitors that you don't have to be a jerk off to be involved in the sport. So it was nice to see. It was really nice to see. So that was last night. On Saturday, if we go back now, our fight weekends with Bellator moving to CBS Sports on Thursday nights. Our fight weekends start a little early on Thursday. So Bellator 250 had Mohegan Sun. They crowned their middleweight champion, Douglas Lima versus Gegard Mousasi. Lima, who is the current, I said middleweight champion, right? Lima's the current welterweight champion. Excuse me. For folks that don't know, oh, look, they even, oh my God. Sorry. The favoritism of, again, I'm an MMA guy. I'm not just a UFC guy. But I get a little aggravated when I see trying to bring up the results here of the Bellator 250. Bellator 250, where we go? Full results so you guys can see them too. And of course, it's not listed on the results. In 1 second. Here we go. Just in case there's any other stuff outside of my notes, I like to have it up. And I like you guys to see it too over at MMAnews.com, where you can, always check on results afterwards when you, if you happen to miss some fights. And the thing is with the start time, they actually pushed the start time back because they lost a fight the day of. Super necessary. This guy put a hashtag in there. Sorry. I'm not going to try to play it because I think the last time I tried to play it on here with the audio and stuff, it created issues. So where's the quick results? Oh, Jake Hager's fight. I'm going to get into that. Again, James Lynch spoke to Jake Hager. Here we go. That's what I want to see. Just for reference. So the thing about the start times with the move over to CBS on Thursday nights, so they push it back a little. It was initially supposed to start I believe 5 p.m. Eastern time. So that's like 3 o'clock. People are kind of still at work, so they're going to miss the so the hardcores like myself are going to miss the very early fights, when they do this thing on Thursdays. But they also have to consider not everybody wants to stay up late and sit through a bunch of commercials for the main event and stuff like that on Thursday night, because a lot of us got to go to work on Friday, right? Myself included. So the start time was initially at 5. They lost the fight. The Yanez and Artiga were supposed to be on the main card, and Artiga had a positive COVID result, so they had to postpone that fight, and they lost the fight. So the card got bumped up, or bumped down to 6 p.m., which kind of helped a little for those that wanted to watch all the fights like I do. The prelims you can always catch on I think they stream them live on CBS Sports as well as the Bellator YouTube channel. So really nice Darce choke. If you missed it on the prelims, Cody Law, really nice Darce choke on Orlando Ortega. It was a beautiful setup, beautiful squeeze. And then there was a really nice Adam Borix, who's he's always kind of like right there. He's definitely one of their top guys, but I mean, heavy prelims, I guess, because of the way that things work out. Being on the thing is like ESPN being on a big sports network. They're going to have to, categorize. Sorry, let me guess. I don't know it's freaking 40 degrees. How's there a fly in here? Anyway, sorry. They have to put their fights on for folks to watch while the CBS Sports showing baseball, football, or whatever was on that night. I was watching this, that's why I don't know. But so the again, Lynch spoke with Hager before this fight. If you watch, he fought Brandon Colton. Brandon Colton, I think, was a former Pittsburgh Steelers. I forget what position he played. Older than him. People are talking about this is a fight worth mentioning, not just because it's Jake Hager from AEW, which is where I got my Halloween shirt from, pumpkin-headed dipshit. AEW. He walked in wearing his Inner Circle shirt and stuff like that. If you're fans of AEW, he had the AEW logo across his shorts. But one of the things folks criticize Bellator about is, they always give these names cans to fight and stuff like that. Jake Hager won a split decision against a very, very game Colton, who I'm sure Bellator is going to call back because that dude was tough as anything. Apparently, he's got a catch wrestling background. And if you look at that, I got to say, man, I mean, after watching him, I watched him fight on Thursday, and you watch Greg Hardy fight again on Saturday night. Herschel Walker's got a couple of MMA fights that you can watch from back in the day when he tried towards the end of his career, where he tried his hand at MMA. Matt Mitrion's another guy that comes from football, fights in Bellator, or I hope he still fights in Bellator. I know they came out in the news. Jason Floyd put out a tweet of a bunch of fighters that are no longer under contract with Bellator. But I'm getting off the subject of Jake Hager's fight. That was a tough fight. Split decision means, one judge had it for Colton. And in all honesty, I thought Colton was going to take it because of they were both pretty damaged. I know Jake Hager's got a really good boxing coach, but I think it would behoove him or his coach to focus on him letting his hands go more, because he definitely had a reach advantage, but he only threw a 1-2 punch combo, and the right hand kept landing, and he also kept doing a very hard jab to the body that looked like it was bothering Colton. So maybe get a not just boxing, but an overall striking coach that'll have those kicks work, and someone like Mark Henry that can get you to place your get your footwork to the point where you can land some body kicks, because he's got reach all over Jake Hager, and he could have changed the tide of that fight if I think if he landed maybe some straight, not teep kicks, some snap kicks, like karate style snap kicks to the midsection of Colton, because those jabs were bothering him. So you thrust the ball of your foot into the soft tissue of the midsection. I have a feeling with the power that looks like Hager has, he could have came out, with a unanimous decision of that one. I know his wrestling is his go-to. I mean, his real wrestling, not the AEW stuff. You want to know what's crazy about that? Talking about the interview he did with Lynch on this YouTube channel. He told Lynch that when he does his stuff at AEW, those are his rest days from his MMA training. I mean, he's had actual matches on there where he works up a sweat. That just goes to show you the level of athlete that he is. Big dudes like that are athletic, I think, can be dangerous in MMA. And he's still all in. He was transported to the hospital because he took a lot. I don't know if his nose was broken or fractured or whatever. It looked like it might have been. But shout out to Nolan King from MMA Junkie that put out that update that he was transported to the hospital, but he spoke to him after, and it looks like his spirits were like he's ready for the next one. We'll definitely probably see him again in 2021 because I'm sure there's a 30-day suspension or a little bit more after the fight on Thursday and the damage he took. So, and we're in October, and he's got his pro wrestling obligations, but that's what we'll see I'm sure we'll see him spring 2021 or maybe later. Hopefully if things open up, fans can go see him too. I mean, but just FYI, I think I've said it before, Bellator's Mohegan Sun until the end of the year with everything going on, COVID numbers spiking and all that stuff. So I doubt they're going to make their way back. They actually just got out of Italy before they started shutting things down again. So, I mean, that's where they're at with that. Anyway, with that fight, but I only got a few minutes left, so I got to get into the middleweight title fight between Gegard Mousasi and Douglas Lima. So again, Lima, was taking a shot at being a double champ. Didn't go his way. The fight went 5 rounds. I was expecting a firefight. I thought it was going to be a fight of the year candidate type of thing. We didn't get that, but not for nothing. This is when you have to. It's chess, not checkers. Combat sports, martial arts, what have you. Boxing, there's ways to win, and if you find out if one person finds out someone's tougher than they expected, then you've got to capitalize on what you can get to get the W, and that's pretty much what Gegard Mousasi did to get the middleweight title back. Excuse me. The fight went 5 rounds, and after the first round, so I actually have the interview up. I wrote a piece on it at MMAnews.com, so please check it out if you want to see his whole. He does a whole breakdown of his own fight, but he pretty much said after the first round with Lima, he knew this was going to be a 5-round fight, and he admitted that he kind of overestimated him going into it just because it's the 170 or coming to 185. But, I mean, when you look at them square off, even in the fight, I actually thought Lima looked bigger, and Lima could definitely compete at 185 still if he wants to. That's definitely something that Bellator should keep in their back pocket if Lima's, ready to go and they have a middleweight fallout that's, main card, or contender fight. Put him back in there if he wants to be back in there, that is. But, Mousasi said that, he wanted to finish him, but he saw – that wasn't going to happen after the first round. He was like, I took him down. There was a point that he threw a headbutt. I don't know if he was trying to post on his body to get his hips high. Excuse me. And kind of tripod to do a guard pass or something. I think that was in the first round, but there was a point where it looked like he was going to get a point taken or something like that, but he got the warning or whatever. And then the fight went the way it did. It was what won Mousasi the fight was obviously his countering and the takedowns and the pressure. But in the final round, Mousasi, I think he did a decent job of checking most of the leg kicks, but they were landing. And then at the post-fight press conference, he was like, the last leg kick, he was like, that one hurt me. It really could have, not for nothing, Gegard Mousasi's experience too. I kind of wish. I hope an interview comes with Douglas Lima afterwards. Maybe one of us will try to get one, just to get his I'd like to hear his side of maybe, I don't know if there was a mental thing with the experience and fighting somebody like Musasi from Lima was an issue for him in the fight, but it was definitely more of a tactics fight and not the barn burner fight of the year candidate that we were all expecting with them two. But I mean, so you had to fight smarter, not harder, and that's what Musasi did. And I'm sure we'll see it. There's talk of him moving up to 205, and fights for him there. I know Coker is interested. Coker is interested in it. Excuse me, Jesus. Goddamn season changing here in Jersey, messing with my allergies. Coker's interested in it, but he's Musasi is kind of just like, I just need to win my fights. I don't care. He didn't really seem interested in the whole double champ thing. And you have to worry about double champs. I know I'm gonna go a little over with this final point, but the thing with double champions is you risk holding up a division, if not two divisions. Bellator handles it better than the UFC does, in all honesty, because they do tournaments. If you look at what happened with Kyoji Horiguchi, he was both the champ at Bellator and Ryzen, and he had to with it, because he had to have knee surgery. He had to give up both titles. So Bellator said, "All right, I guess we'll have to make a tournament or something to do it." So that's what kind of like we'd like to see for the lightweight division in the UFC. But now we're hearing Khabib might not be retired, and he wants to get that 30-0 number. So maybe with him ranked pound for pound not removed for the rankings, that's likely why we're still seeing that. And the way Dana White was talking last night, we'll probably have they're probably not lacking in the champion anymore as we thought, after UFC 254. But back to this, the problem with two champions is that so you run the risk of holding up a division or two divisions, or having to rectify a championless two divisions if the champion gets injured, like the Horiguchi situation happened. So that's the thing about it. So I don't blame Gegard for not being interested in it. Plus, yes, it means more activity for a fighter that holds two belts. Like you're going to be fighting at some point, and your paychecks are going to be high. But Gegard's been fighting for a while too, so he's probably thinking like, it's nice that I'm a champion now. Let me get in my time and defend this title and try to leave with some sort of legacy, which is a guy like him is probably already done. But I mean, man, what a great bunch of events. And again, don't just watch the UFC. The UFC gets their fighters from regional MMA and stuff like that. So make sure you watch the entire sport. CFFC had 2 nights of fights in Philadelphia that were crazy. Some crazy knockouts there. Even ESPN featured them. Check out ESPN's Twitter handle. I shared all that stuff, so you can check out my Twitter handle right here. If you're not following me on Twitter, please do. Please check out MMAnews.com for all your big MMA events. There's more coming. XFC 43, I believe, is going to be the first event aired on NBC Sports. So we should have some stuff there over at MMAnews.com for that. And again, if you're not subscribed to the MMAnews.com YouTube channel, please like and subscribe, hit the bell notification for stuff like this and all our interviews. I went a little over today, but there was a lot going on. That's about it for me. Ed Carbazel for MMAnews.com. Sunday Submission. I'm tapping out.